What if the curtain of existence were drawn back, revealing a moment before your first breath, where you, in pure essence, made a momentous decision? Imagine for a moment that the story of your birth is not a mere whim of fate or a fortuitous dance of genetics, but the result of a sacred pact, a conscious choice woven in the ethereal realms, long before your eyes beheld the light of this world. Today, we will venture beyond the visible to uncover the ancient pact that binds your soul to your lineage, a hidden truth that, when understood, will rewrite the scrolls of your own history and that of your ancestors. How is it possible that, before incarnating, the soul already knew the path, the lessons, the challenges, and the loves that awaited it in a specific family? What ancient wisdom guides this choice, which seemingly defies all worldly logic? Prepare your spirit to unravel the invisible threads that connect your being to those who gave you life, not by chance, but by divine design and a profound inner wisdom that resonated in the chambers of eternity, where soul contracts are signed with the ink of intention and the promise of evolution. I invite you to immerse yourself with me in this journey of introspection and revelation, an inner alchemy, of thought that will transform your perception of the esoteric universe of the family. If you feel these words resonate in the depths of your being, if the echo of an ancestral truth calls to you, I ask you to leave your mark on this path. Share your reflections in the comments. Click like so this light may reach more seekers. And subscribe to this channel to continue exploring the mysteries that dwell beyond the veil of the tangible. May this scroll unfold before you, revealing what your soul already knew. Allow me to take you to a realm that transcends matter, to the luminous spiritual plane where souls await, stripped of their earthly garments. There, in an ethereal council, the Council of Souls, guided by ancestral beings of light, each essence reviews the intricate web of their past existences. It is not a judgment, but a profound alchemy of learning, where each experience is transmuted into wisdom. In this sacred space, the planning of future incarnations begins. Souls with expanded consciousness explore lineages, weighing the lessons each family offers. Imagine the profundity of this choice, a mutual pact, a sacred contract forged in intention and love, establishing bonds that will define destiny. They receive knowledge about the era, global challenges, and their role in collective evolution, understanding their contribution to the great universal tapestry. But what hidden forces ensure that these agreements are faithfully manifested within the dense veil of earthly reality? Here, in the ether preceding the veil of incarnation, the criteria for the selection of parents unfold like a star scroll before the soul. It is not an act of blindness or whim, but the culmination of profound discernment, a vibrational dance where each essence seeks its mirror, its exact resonance for the next lesson. Souls do not choose at random. They choose with the accumulated wisdom of eons, seeking those lineages and individual beings that offer the perfect alchemical crucible for their transmutation. Consider that each soul is like a melody, and it seeks the orchestra that will allow it to express its most complex notes, those left muted or incomplete in past lives, intertwined karmic patterns, unresolved debts, bonds of unconditional love that need reaffirming, and most importantly, the specific virtues that only certain genetic and energetic combinations can cultivate are examined. It is a mutual recognition, an echo of destiny that unites parents with the soul seeking to descend, a contract engraved in the light before being sealed by flesh and time. Thus, the criteria are not merely biological, but spiritual, rooted in evolutionary necessity and the intricate web of shared destiny. The choice of parents then becomes the meticulous selection of fertile ground for the soul's growth, a landscape that, with its hills and valleys, its deserts and oases, will provide the necessary experiences. Family lineages, with their intricate threads of talents, traumas, strengths, and weaknesses are scrutinized. The soul, from its expanded perspective, understands that the ancestral burden is not a condemnation, but rather a set of tools and challenges that will allow it to activate certain parts of its being or heal old collective wounds. Some apocryphal texts, whispered in the forgotten corners of esoteric libraries, speak of how souls align themselves with the memory of blood, seeking not only genetics, but also the psychic imprint of generations. A soul that needs to learn. Compassion might choose a lineage where suffering has been a constant in order to transform it from within. Another, seeking mastery and creativity, might be drawn to a lineage of artists or thinkers. The family becomes a stage prepared with the precision of a goldsmith, where each character plays a vital role in the drama of individual and collective evolution, offering the precise conditions for the inner alchemy the soul has set for itself. Even obstacles, family shadows, and challenging relationships are chosen for a sacred purpose. Those who perceive their parents as difficult or their birth circumstances as adverse rarely understand that these conditions were, in essence, selected by their own soul before incarnation. The books of memory of ancient Egypt, not the ones we know today, but those that lie hidden beneath the sands of time, suggest that souls have a foresight of the most arduous challenges, knowing that it is precisely these frictions that will polish the diamond of their spirit. Inner alchemy occurs not in comfort, but in the forging of challenge. Conflict, deprivation, or illness within the family are often the catalyst chosen by the soul to activate its inner strength, resilience, and capacity for transcendence. It is in the fire of these trials that the lead of experience is transmuted into the gold of wisdom, where darkness reveals its potential to illuminate the deepest aspects of being. The soul does not seek ease, but expansion, and often the deepest expansion comes from overcoming the greatest trials, chosen with a wisdom incomprehensible from the limited perspective of the ego. This sacred contract, forged in the Council of Souls, is not a mere ethereal formality. It is a cosmic pact upheld by the forces that govern the universe. A threshold guardians, beings of light whose existence transcends our linear understanding of time, are the custodians of these agreements. They ensure that, despite the veil of forgetting that covers the soul's memory at birth, the necessary events and interactions manifest. Through synchronicities, seemingly chance encounters, and the whispers of intuition, these guardians subtly redirect the path when the individual's free will threatens to stray too far from the original plan. They do not coerce, but offer opportunities, open doors and close others, orchestrating a symphony of events that propel the soul toward the fulfillment of its incarnational purpose. The ancient shamans of the Amazon, in their visionary journeys, often spoke of invisible threads that connect individuals to their preordained destiny, threads woven not by an arbitrary god, but by the soul's own higher wisdom before its descent into material density. Thus, the choice of parents is much more than a biological act. It is a spiritual declaration of intent, a fundamental piece in the vast mosaic of the evolution of universal consciousness. Each soul that descends and chooses its parents not only seeks its own growth, but also contributes to the healing and expansion of the collective. The lessons learned within the family microcosm resonate outward, affecting the community, the nation, and ultimately, the very fabric of humanity. It is an act of profound responsibility and love, where the soul, in its infinite wisdom, commits to a task that goes beyond itself. But what happens when the veil of forgetting is torn away, revealing the profound truth of this conscious choice? And how can we, in our earthly existence, remember and honor these ancestral covenants? The veil of forgetfulness, that dense fog, that covers our memories upon birth on the earthly plane, is not a punishment, but a necessary condition for addressing pending karmic lessons with the purity of present experience. Souls, in their infinite wisdom and in an act of supreme courage, carefully choose the lineage that will best provide the most faithful mirror of their unfinished business. It is not a choice of comfort, but of purpose. It is not a search for pleasure, but for profound healing. Imagine the soul as an artist who chooses their canvas and pigments not for their intrinsic beauty, but for their capacity to enable them to paint their evolutionary masterpiece. Thus, the family becomes an alchemical crucible, a sacred laboratory where the impurities of the past can be transmuted into spiritual gold. The conflicts, tensions, unrequited loves, and broken expectations within the family circle are not errors of fate, but rather divine tools, the frictions necessary to ignite the spark of consciousness and dissolve the invisible chains that bind us to repetitive patterns of pain and limitation. Each member, with their virtues and their shadows, is a carefully selected actor in this cosmic drama, a teacher or a student, often both, in the complex choreography of soul redemption. But what internal mechanisms guide us to recognize and accept these veiled lessons when the memory of our original choice lies hidden beneath layers of existential amnesia? In this sacred theater that is the family, the opportunities for growth are countless and often manifest in the most mundane everyday interactions. Consider forgiveness, the release of resentment that often presents itself to us in its most challenging form through the actions of a father or mother, a brother or sister whose past wounds collide with our own. Authority, another fundamental pillar of karmic learning, is explored both in submitting to it and in exercising it, revealing the dynamics of control and freedom. In past lives, were we those who abused power or those who blindly submitted? The family offers us the perfect setting to rebalance that scale, whether through a rebellious child who challenges imposed structures, or a parent who must learn to let go of the reins of control. Compassion, meanwhile, flourishes in the most demanding relationships when we are forced to extend our understanding and empathy to those who challenge us most. The ancient Vedic texts, in their age-old wisdom, describe these interconnections as part of family dharma, a path of righteousness that unfolds through generations, where each individual contributes to collective evolution by healing their own. Karmic knots, transforming pain into wisdom and conflict into understanding. It is a perpetual cycle of sowing and reaping, a resonant echo of past choices that resonates in the present. We must not fall into the fallacy that these lessons are always synonymous with punishing suffering. Rather, they are profound invitations to the expansion of being. Pain, when it presents itself, is merely the messenger, the catalyst that pushes us to look beyond the surface, to unearth the roots of disharmony. Family dynamics act as inexorable mirrors, reflecting our own shadows and unresolved wounds. Isn't that trait that irritates us most in a relative, a magnified reflection of a quality or lack that resides within us, waiting to be acknowledged and integrated? The mystery schools of antiquity, from Egyptian temples to Orphic initiations, understood that confrontation with the other was essential for self-knowledge. Often, these other figures were archetypal representations of father, mother, or sibling, designed to unearth deep-seated complexes. Just as the alchemist does not fear impure lead, the soul does not fear the difficulty of its relationships, for it knows that friction generates the heat necessary for transmutation. Every challenge is a veiled opportunity, a fragment of the vast puzzle that is the totality of our soul existence, a constant reminder that we are constantly evolving beings, weaving and unweaving the tapestry of our destiny with every breath and every interaction. Let's observe how these karmic patterns manifest in the family fabric. A soul who in a past life struggled with the concept of surrender and control might incarnate in a family where they must learn to forgive an absent parent, freeing themselves from expectation and resentment, or conversely, be the parent who, must learn to let go and trust their children's path. Those who in other incarnations exercised despotic power or were victims of oppression might now find themselves in roles where authority is a constant battleground, forcing them to find balance between submission and tyranny, inviting them to forge an internal authority based on love, not fear. And what about compassion? How else is it learned if not through the presence of a family member who embodies difficulty, illness, or constant challenge, demanding a patience and empathy we thought impossible? The Akashic Records, that vast cosmic library where all the experiences of each soul are archived, reveal that these dynamics are not accidental. They are premeditated choices, invisible soul contracts that are renewed in each incarnation, not to punish, but to purify, to polish the rough diamond of our consciousness until it reflects the light of our true essence, freed from the distortions of the past, allowing us to move toward a higher understanding of existence. The process of resolving these karmic lessons is not a task completed once and for all, but rather an ongoing inner alchemy. It begins with conscious observation, with the courage to face painful dynamics and recognize them not as curses, but as blessings in disguise. When a family pattern repeats itself over and over, when the same conflict resurfaces generation after generation, it is a sure sign that a lesson has not been integrated. A fragment of the soul continues to cry out for healing. Transmutation occurs when we choose to respond differently, when we break the cycle of automatic reaction and instead apply understanding, forgiveness, or compassion. It is an act of will and consciousness that unchains stagnant energies and frees not only the individual who chooses, but the entire lineage, breaking ancestral chains. By healing our own karmic wounds within the family, we raise the vibration of the collective, contributing to the great work of universal consciousness. And when a lesson is truly learned, when the veil of illusion dissipates, a new perspective emerges, an expansion of heart and mind. But the path of the soul is infinite, and with each resolution, new doors open, revealing horizons yet unexplored and paths yet to be revealed. For the web of destiny is woven with threads of mystery that are renewed with each awakening. And what happens, I wonder, when the soul, after completing its most arduous lessons, decides it is time to transcend not only its family, but the very wheel of earthly incarnation? Friends of the path, let us unravel a profound enigma, the choice of lineage. The soul, before incarnating, does not do so at random. It is an act of consciousness, a search for resonance. It seeks parental vibrational frequencies that harmonize or complement its own essence, guided by an evolutionary purpose. The ancient Hermetic texts already whispered about this spiritual magnetism, a predestination in the affinity of the spirit. This compatibility is woven in vibrations. Some souls seek harmony, like two tuning forks on the same note, to express already present talents. Others choose contrasts, a vibrational complement that will forge new abilities or heal old wounds. The Book of Thoth hints at karmic reckonings and astral agreements, where familiar archetypes act as powerful magnets. On the earthly plane, this resonance manifests in shared talents. Musicians in lineages of artists, healers among healers. It is not a genetic inheritance, but rather one of energetic patterns and soul purposes. It also reveals itself in shared values, a thirst for truth, unwavering compassion, or a devotion to justice soul fingerprints imprinted in the lineage. Compatibility, however, isn't always about similarity. Sometimes the search is for complementarity, to balance polarities. A soul that needs patience will choose impetuous temperaments. A free spirit, structure. The Zohar describes souls intertwined in cosmic pairs to co-create an evolutionary environment where parents are mirrors and catalysts. Soul choice is a profound self-determination and cosmic responsibility. Every family experience is an opportunity for expansion. Do we perceive the resonances and challenges in our families? Inner alchemy asks us to discern these invisible threads that connect our spirit to ancestors and descendants. But what happens when a soul chooses a seemingly dissonant lineage, defying all vibrational logic? Souls often choose paths that at first glance seem labyrinthine, choosing lineages whose vibrational challenges are precisely the necessary crucible for their expansion. Dissonance is not a cosmic error, but a calculated choice embedded in a greater purpose. The Nag Hammadi manuscript, in its most cryptic and veiled fragments, alludes to the sowing of the soul seed in seemingly arid soil, not to perish, but so that, by overcoming lack and friction, the flower of wisdom and compassion may blossom with unparalleled strength and splendor, which it could never have achieved in soil of excessive ease. This reveals to us that the soul seeks not only comfort, but transformation. The soul, in its profound pre-incarnation wisdom, perceives the parent's evolutionary state not as an earthly judgment, but as a detailed map of specific growth opportunities. It assesses the lessons they themselves are still navigating, the unhealed ancestral wounds, the latent or repressed virtues waiting to be awakened in the lineage. A home where patience is scarce, where emotions easily overflow, for example, can be the perfect, carefully orchestrated setting for a soul to learn and embody the virtue of unwavering tolerance, the equanimity forged in the forge of daily adversity, transforming chaos into inner stillness. Every difficulty, every friction, every apparent disagreement within the family thus becomes a powerful catalyst for the inner alchemy of the being. The absence of evident unconditional love from parents can inspire in the young soul the development of the deepest compassion, a capacity to love that transcends the deprivations received and radiates out into the world. Material scarcity can foster boundless creativity and immense gratitude for the little one has. It is the shadows cast by the unlearned lessons or the unmet challenges of parents that offer the new soul the unique opportunity to illuminate these virtues with its own intensity, transcending the pattern and elevating family consciousness. It is, in essence, a pre-existing soul contract, a tacit agreement forged before the veil of forgetfulness, where the soul commits to facing certain specific tests and embodying virtues that need to be polished in their rawest forms or activated from their dormancy. Ancient esoteric texts, some considered forbidden for their revelatory power, describe these karmic choices not as an immutable destiny, but as the divine engineering behind individual and collective evolution, where the apparent familiar chaos is in reality a higher order driving the expansion of consciousness, a hidden and meticulously designed purpose. The profound understanding that every family experience is a direct invitation to growth, a school of virtues designed by our own soul radically transforms our perception. It demands that we see beyond the veil of mere earthly circumstance, recognizing the transcendent purpose in what we often superficially categorize as mere fortune or misfortune. It compels us to search for the alchemical gold in the mud of our lives. But how does the soul manage to foresee with such precision the complex web of events and reactions that will unfold in its chosen lineage? And what role does human free will play in this seemingly predestined cosmic dance? The soul, a seeker, does not foresee linearly. Its timeless vision chooses the ideal vibration. Hermetic texts speak of stargates and karmic confluences, cosmic currents that dictate the energetic dance of an era, a meticulously selected backdrop for the unfolding of its dharma. It is in this deep attunement to the cosmic fabric that the choice of when and where to be born is formed. The when of birth is not a mere whim of fate. Periods of intense transformation, such as eras of profound spiritual upheaval or the dawn of scientific and social revolutions, are chosen by those souls whose purpose resonates with the need to sow new seeds of consciousness or catalyze the release of entrenched ancestral patterns. The cycles described in the Hindu yugas or the Mayan great eras are not just calendars, but energetic maps that the soul consults to align itself with the prevailing energy of the time, thus maximizing its potential for evolutionary contribution. The where is no coincidence either. Every corner of the planet pulsates with a telluric memory and a unique vibrational frequency. Arcane energy maps, guarded by Gnostic sects and Tibetan monks, reveal that certain places are vortices of profound healing, others of incessant creation, and others of direct confrontation with the collective and individual shadow. Geography becomes a cultural and environmental melting pot tailor-made to nurture specific virtues or challenge the limitations that the soul has chosen to transmute on its journey. Thus, the conjunction of when and where is not random, but a master architecture of the soul. It is the choice of a living laboratory, a stage of cosmic proportions where every detail, from family genetic makeup to the ideological currents of the time, is orchestrated to offer the exact opportunities for growth and contribution. The soul strategically inserts itself into the matrix of existence to weave its unique thread into the tapestry of collective destiny, influencing not only its own path, but that of all humanity. But how does this great designer, this divine portion, within each of us, manage to so masterfully weave together the perfect space-time coordinates, interweaving destiny and free will, individual and collective purpose with such astonishing precision? What invisible forces guide this selection? And what layers of veil must be pierced to discern the true essence of this cosmic contract, which goes beyond mere choice, delving into the realm of pre-existence and the continuum of being? The choice of our parents, beloved seekers of hidden truth, is not the result of cosmic chance or mere genetic coincidence, but a sacred contract, a pre-existential pact sealed in the ethereal halls of the soul long before the first earthly breath breathed life into our bodies. The texts of Thoth, jealously veiled from the profane gaze and guarded in the submerged libraries of the collective consciousness, as well as the enigmatic scrolls of Nag Hammadi, whisper of higher consciousnesses who, in their infinite wisdom, and with unwavering purpose, meticulously select the lineage, family environment, and parental circumstances that will best serve as an alchemical crucible for the manifestation of their mission. Each soul, bearer of a unique and inalienable purpose, chooses its earthly guides not for superficial affinity or worldly comfort, but for the intrinsic precision and energetic resonance that its genetic imprint, emotional baggage, karmic patterns, and spiritual lineage will offer to forge character, reveal latent talents, and activate the ancestral memories necessary for its work in the world. It is a conscious choice, an act of profound cosmic self-definition, where the soul, like a divine strategist, positions itself to receive the exact experiences that will catalyze its awakening and the unfolding of its gifts. Consider the vast complexity of this decision. It is not just about choosing a body, but a genetic blueprint that includes predispositions, a family tree with its blessings and its shadows, and an environment that will act as a living laboratory for the development of its dharma. Parents, in this Gnostic perspective that the modern world is only beginning to glimpse, are much more than biological progenitors. They are, in essence, silent architects of the soul's destiny, instrumental in preparing it for its mission. If the soul's profound vocation is to heal, parents are often chosen who, consciously or unconsciously, present wounds that demand compassion, understanding, and an innate capacity for deep listening, preparing the future healer to wield the balm of empathy and transformation. The experience of growing up in an environment that requires constant mediation or confronts the individual with suffering is invaluable training for those destined to alleviate collective and individual pain. For the soul that comes to teach, wisdom can emerge from a home that values the intellect and the pursuit of knowledge, or, conversely, from one that imposes dogmas and limitations, forcing the future teacher to seek truth outside of convention, to question and forge their own understanding. Intellectual challenges, or the lack thereof, are, in themselves, part of school. And for the born leader, the cradle can be an environment that challenges authority, demands decision-making, or offers the tools to inspire and organize, forging the strength, vision, and resilience needed to guide others through the storm or toward new frontiers. The Holy Scriptures of the Essenes insist that every family is a micro-society where future roles are rehearsed. It is in this intricate dance between the incarnated soul and its parents that the first, and often indelible, threads of divine purpose are woven. The virtues of the parents, their overwhelming passions, their internal and external struggles, their belief systems and worldviews, are absorbed by the nascent soul as essential nutrients, or sometimes as thorns that, though painful, compel the soul to redefine its path, seek a higher truth, and build its own identity outside of imposed expectations. An apocryphal tale from the mysterious Book of Enoch, revered by certain mystical currents, suggests that celestial watchers, entities of light and wisdom, assist in this lineage selection, ensuring that the domestic environment faithfully mirrors the challenges and rewards the soul needs to fully awaken to its cosmic role. Inner alchemy, the transformation of the lead of experience into the pure gold of consciousness, begins precisely in the cradle, in the primordial interaction with those who gave us life. Every word, every gesture, every absence, every presence of our parents is encoded with a lesson, an activation, a spark that propels us toward our true essence. The resonance of their energy fields shapes ours, preparing it for the frequencies of their mission. Even the most complex and painful family dynamics, those that seem to irremediably distance us from our center or envelop us in veils of confusion and resentment, are often essential and deliberate catalysts for this preparatory phase. The dialogue with the daimon, a nearly forgotten hermetic text revered by those initiated into the secrets of the higher self, posits that the greatest resistances and deepest conflicts with our parents, or the absence of their support, can be the most precise and perfectly calibrated challenges, designed to polish the jewel of the soul, reveal an unbreakable resilience, forge an iron will, or ignite the flame of a sacred rebellion indispensable to the fulfillment of the mission. It is not the absence of pain, but the mastery over it that defines us. It is in the friction generated by these tensions that the spark of self-awareness and the strength necessary to overcome future obstacles are produced. A soul destined to guide humanity through an era of change, for example, might need to experience anarchy or oppression in their youth to understand the need for a new order, or to develop compassion for those suffering under unjust systems. Parental trials are, in their deepest essence, coded lessons. Thus, a deep and transcendent understanding of this cosmic parental choice lifts us, inescapably, beyond the worldly and often limited view of the family, revealing a sacred design where every interaction, every emotional, genetic, and spiritual inheritance becomes a vital and irreplaceable piece of the puzzle of our life mission. This perspective frees us from the yoke of guilt, the weight of resentment, and the perception of victimhood, inviting us instead to observe the lives of our parents, not as mere individuals with their own imperfections and limitations, but as emissaries of a greater plan, as divine instruments, perfect in their imperfection, instrumental in forging our essential selves and activating our highest purpose. It allows us to forgive and understand, not from a position of weakness, but from the enlightenment of knowing that their role, however difficult, was fundamental to who we are destined to be. But if the choice of our parents is so deliberate and purposeful, how can we discern with certainty the true nature of this sacred contract in our own lives? And what doors of self-knowledge and empowerment open once we unlock the deepest secrets of our spiritual heritage. And what about those who never knew their parents or who were abandoned in the cradle? The answers await in the veils of time and ancestral memory. Thus, at the end of this winding path of reflection, we are revealed to the magnitude of a truth. As liberating as it is challenging, the choice of our parents is not a whim of fate, but the first line of a sacred pact, an encrypted code that, once decoded, reveals the blueprints of our spiritual architecture. Understanding this does not mean seeking blame or justifying wounds, but rather transcending the earthly narrative to embrace the sovereignty of our soul, recognizing that every interaction, every experience forged in the crucible of family, is a tool chiseled by the hand of fate to sculpt the essential being we are destined to be. It is the mirror that reflects not only the past, but the unlimited potential of our future. But if the thread of karma and choice precedes our incarnation, to what extent are we architects of our own destiny, or mere interpreters of a prewritten symphony? Can we, with the light of consciousness, rewrite the dissonant notes of that ancient melody? Or we condemn to repeat the stanzas until the soul learns the final lesson? I invite you, brave souls, to reflect on these profound truths and to unravel the invisible threads that connect you to your cosmic origin. If the spark of enlightenment has been ignited within you, if the echo of these words resonates with your own quest, share this knowledge with those who, like you, yearn to unravel the hidden mysteries of existence. Subscribe to this channel to join our Brotherhood of Seekers, where each installment is another step in the labyrinth toward primordial wisdom, another piece in the grand puzzle of your spiritual awakening. And for those who feel the call of an even deeper revelation, I invite you to our next immersion, the Veil of Forgetfulness, awakening ancestral memory and reclaiming our cosmic legacy, a journey where we will explore how to access the etheric, archives of your own soul history. Until then, may the light of truth guide you on your path.